What is up, Wizards fans? Welcome into another Believe in Wizards podcast. I'm Matt Modderno. He's Jahadi White. The Wizards are 17 and 63 with 2 games left to go here. They're in 15th place. They are tied with Utah for the worst record in the league right now. They're also 17 and 63. Both teams are 2 games up on Charlotte. So very likely here the Wizards will, it'll be mission accomplished, I think, for the season here, finishing with the worst or second worst record. So I don't know. Is Jahadi, where are you at with this team? Have you seen anything lately that's worth, viewing, or are you just in it for the tank here, like some of the rest of us fans?
I mean, the reality is, all about the tank. I mean, we're watching a team that's tanking on purpose, and that's tough to watch because you're trying to also root for a team, evaluate the talent of the new guys that we have, the skills, all while understanding that we're playing not to win the game. Right. And that's that's tough. So then you have to look at it through a basketball eye, like, okay, which guys that have displayed their talent or showed their talent enough on a platform that we could see as future Wizards that can really help us out.
Yeah, who are pieces. Yeah, exactly. That makes sense. And we're going to get into that a little bit more here. We're going to play buy, hold, sell with the stock of each of these sort of players on the roster that are actively playing, in these games. So we'll get to that in a bit. I just got a few kind of random ones for you here. I don't know, you're 2 games left in the season. How are these guys feeling right now? Even, especially the young guys. Like, think back to your rookie year for us here a bit. Like, they're probably especially toast, right? Like, they're young and obviously durable, but none of those guys have ever played more than probably like a 35 game season. And now they've, more than doubled it when you factor in preseason and all that kind of stuff here. I would think the toll is worse on them until you adjust to it, but maybe I'm off.
The toll is worse I don't think the toll is worse on the young guys.
Okay.
Gotcha. I think the toll is easy on the young guys because they're getting to play for their first time, in the NBA. It is a lot, but it's their first year. It's nothing like it.
They never have more fun with it, right?
They never had anything better than this so far. They have nothing to compare it to. Get to play the best game. So it does become a long season no matter what, but that first year goes fast no matter who you are, even if you play in the playoffs or not. And the thing with this season is it's been all over the place. You had started off with certain players, you lose certain players. Kuzma's gone. A lot of players that didn't get a lot of time are now getting a lot of time.
Yep.
So as far as in a player's perspective, and the young guys who probably didn't get a lot of time still get to prove themselves, still get to now become more comfortable on the court, get to now show what they can do, still get to show what they can do. They don't care about the wins and losses.
Right. Yeah, they're just getting a hoop and they're probably having fun.
They're getting a hoop. They're getting to actually display that they can play. They're getting to actually be on the floor. So, and still get to make an impact. So I don't think the guys are counting it down. There's certain guys definitely counting down, but it's such a young team. There's not too many guys counting it down as far as, like Bilal, he's understanding the situation now. He's like, let me rest my body.
Yeah, exactly.
A guy like him, a guy like Poole, he seemed like he's going to be a gym rat anyway, either way. So it doesn't matter. But certain guys understand that at this time I got a guy like Kispert, let me rest my body, let me not. But other than that, maybe a guy like Sarr, because Sarr has put in a lot of time.
Yeah.
But otherwise, these guys are happy to get these last 2 games to play.
At this point, I mean, I would imagine early in the year, there's still probably some amount of like, oh my God, I'm matched up with Giannis, or oh my God, I'm matched up with Luka. Are you still doing that 80 games in?
Not guys who get a lot of time.
Okay. The novelty's worn off.
Not guys who get a lot of time, but maybe your Champagnes, your
an AJ Johnson that didn't play much.
AJ Johnson, not even the Keyshawn George is not doing that anymore. I think that thrill and that fascination that goes after the first 5 games, 6 games, unless it's a guy like down on the schedule that you haven't seen before, and then all of a sudden you end up playing against like you say, Giannis just down the schedule. That's your first time. Great. So, but you know who you have to prepare for. So that's always a thing. But I don't think that always means something, but you're not so fascinated or shell shocked like you are the first time.
I got you. Was there one of those guys for you? I know we've talked a little bit in the past, like maybe one of the other Georgetown guys or something, but was there a dude where you're like, holy shit, I just guarded this guy in an NBA game?
Shaq.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yep.
I mean, Shaq, and the thing with those games, when you do finally get to play with your idol, you play hard as hell.
Yeah, sure. You want them to think you're good.
Sitting there in awe.
Right.
You're sitting there like, I'm really trying to play.
Yep.
Because what happens is when you watch a guy so much because he's your idol, you actually know his game better than you know.
You've scouted him better than anybody else.
You actually scouted him.
Yeah.
You've been scouting him for I don't know how long. Yep. So you can play that guy better because you really pattern a lot of your game after him yourself. So the only way you can pattern your game after him, you know a lot of what he does. That's the same as scouting.
No, that's a really good point. I hadn't thought about that, but honestly, yeah. Who are you watching more than your favorite dude? Right. So that's pretty funny. Yeah, I was always curious, and it would be nice to know. I wish one of the beat reporters would ask each of these guys who that person was for them. Just like who the guy Sarr was most looking to matching up with, and that sort of thing. I think he was a Gobert guy growing up, so maybe that's a name like that. But that'd be cool. Just on the young guys, I think Marcus Smart, that addition has probably been my favorite of the veteran guys so far. Just the things he says and the attitude he's bringing, I've appreciated. Smart was very nice and complimentary of Bub a week ago. Bub had a third 2-point game. He said, we love Bub. It's genuine. His energy is genuine. It's definitely a gravitational pull that he has. We're proud of him. And I'll send you the clip after this, Jahadi, but Bub last night just talked about like, hey, look, when this group wins something in a couple years, like it's going to be amazing. And he just like, you could tell like that dude just kind of gets it and he's bought in, and everybody uses the word culture to the point where it probably doesn't mean anything anymore. But he's the guy of the group that I think is going to like drive your culture moving forward. And, we saw some edge with him early on. They talked about his competitiveness. I feel like he'll double down on that, being around a guy like a Marcus Smart, who's going to have that continued edge. So I really like that duo and that pairing. And I don't know, it was just nice to hear Smart kind of seem genuinely like, oh yeah, like Bub is the guy like that we're all kind of locked in on.
Yeah, I think Bub is a culture guy.
Yeah.
And you can just tell on the floor, you could tell he has a natural leadership, want to play, eager to be out there, very, very competitive spirit to him, right? And those guys that are naturally like that are very infectious. They can pass it throughout the locker room with people who's willing to have that same spirit or understand where they want to go in this game as well. He can be very infectious to those people, right? Some people. And the guys he's not that way, you have to be okay. This guy's not a guy that he can really be infectious to.
Right.
You got to really like look at that and be like, though he may not be one of our guys. Now, when you figure that out, I'm not saying he's a guy that creates the culture, but he can be a guy that drives the culture.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have Marcus Smart there in any capacity, maybe not as a player, but if he understands pushing. I think Bub and Marcus kind of function on the same level.
I think so too.
Because Marcus, I think Bub reminds him of a young him with Boston.
Had the same thought. Like just that kind of vibe, and like I'm not going to take anybody's shit, and just
And the Wizards may need to consider that and see that, and make sure they work that out in some type of capacity if they see Bub as a guy who they consider sticking around.
I think a lot of times on teams too, there's like the guy where it's like, if you ask everybody in the locker room who their favorite teammate is, sometimes like all 10 guys or whatever will all say one guy. Like there's that sometimes teams have that kind of dude. And I feel like just the way they talk about him, he might be that kind of guy already, where it's just like on the Maryland team this year, like Derek Queen was everybody's favorite teammate. And I feel like Bub just kind of has that, like you said, it's infectious where people
And
just
usually
seem
not
to
the young guy, right? Because you can only get so much from the young guy because he don't know enough. So it's usually the guy who has experience who can be the glue guy to bring the team together. That one, and sometimes, but with Bub, with this team, we really don't have
so
that
young,
type of vet anyway. So it's young on young on young on young anyway. So I think Bub, him being young actually works better because now it's somebody who can learn. You can learn with them instead of learning from them. Right. And so now those guys be like, oh, well, he's not too. It's not like a peer where he's now trying to tell me what to do. It's a guy saying, this is a guy that's my equal.
Yep.
That's kind of helping us. We can follow. We can go on this train together.
Exactly. Hey guys, I'm going to the gym. You want to come with me?
Yeah.
Want to get some shots up, that kind of thing. And I think that goes a long way. So hopefully that is the case. I will say Jordan Poole, I think, is that guy for a couple of the younger players. Like Koulibaly especially seems very, engaged with Poole. Their Instagram posts together a lot of the time. Like they seem to have like a real connection. I don't know that Poole's like that for all of them, but there's just some guys have that Pied Piper vibe, and that's sort of what I get from Bub.
True. The thing is, Poole's more of a scorer. He's the highest scorer on the team.
Yep.
Which is not bad.
Sure.
But that means he's putting the ball in the basket more than he's giving someone else the ball.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's a guy that you could learn from as far as work ethic, but not always
the favorite guy.
Well, not always advice all the time.
Okay.
But a guy who's saying, hey, be right there, you getting it. Get cut, you got it.
Right.
I see this for you. I see that for you. This is how you can get more open for me, right? I'm seeing something you don't, because I am going to give you the ball.
Yep.
That's a different realm of trust,
Makes
right?
sense.
So that's sometimes it's the type of guy and the position the guy plays and what the guy does, right? Like a Jokic. To me,
he can back
Jokic can play. He can score 35, but I know he's still getting over 11 assists.
Right.
So Jokic come to me and say, hey, man, you don't see this. I'm like, what? What I don't see? Where?
Yeah.
Tell me now. So I think Bub, and the fact Bub is still learning the NBA game, but he's eager and he's learning it fast and he's very competitive with it, right? To the point that you don't mind learning with him, because the more he learns and you learn with him, the more you can do because you become that option.
That's a really good point, too, because like if Jokic is like, hey, if you cut, you'll get the ball, and then you actually get the ball, I'm going to keep cutting.
Yeah.
Whereas if it's like, hey, you really should have cut there, but then I don't throw you the ball anyway,
right?
I'm not going to cut the next time. So what lesson did I really learn from you?
I mean, just imagine him and what's the other big on the team that he throw all the alley-oops to all the time?
Zeke Naji?
No, light-skinned guy with the braids.
Aaron Gordon.
Him and Aaron Gordon is so in sync.
Yeah.
You would think Aaron Gordon couldn't play ball because he always wide open. He got dunks. You think that's all he can do?
That's very true.
It's because it's making it so easy.
Yeah.
I mean, Aaron Gordon, Michael Porter Jr. has the two easiest jobs in the world.
Yep.
In the world.
Finish plays that you've been,
Come on.
There's always the thing with John Wall and like spoon feeding certain guys like Gortat. And it's like, he did make things pretty easy for them. And you see that with Jokic too. It's interesting. Bijan Todd from Monumental asked Brian Keefe about just Alex Sarr being more aggressive down the stretch. And that was something that we had talked about on the last show. We were noticing, and Keefe said there had definitely been more of an emphasis on getting Sarr to attack as the season went on. And he's getting more comfortable with that. You can see some of the finishing is improving. It's anecdotal. It's small sample size, but I feel like he's fading away a little less on some of these. I feel like we've seen him more as a roller. He's attacked a couple closeouts. So that's the tape. I hope they're routinely showing with him. Like, this is the player we want you to be in the future here, not just a total finesse guy.
I feel like Alex Sarr is translating what they want from him in the game much faster.
Yeah.
Than it took Koulibaly.
I think so.
Right. Because they both kind of the same. They were both a little more passive, more
kind of raw,
referring, more. But I feel like all Alex Sarr needed to hear was, "Hey, man, we need you to be the man.
Right.
We need you to attack. Don't massage the ball. Go do something with it.
Yeah.
Attack the lane. Go put pressure on the rim. However, even if it's right." And so I'm watching. To me, I'm watching a night and day guy, confidence wise, and force like pushing wise. I won't say forcing things because he's not.
Yeah.
But now you get to decipher and figure out. He gets to decipher and figure out a completely new game. What didn't work, what did work, how to make. Oh, they stopped this. What's my counter here? Because you're not going to ever decipher that part of the game unless you try it.
Yep.
Right now you're on a new board. Right, you're on a new board of a video game. You got to be more aggressive now. It's more right, and that didn't work. Blue, 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 blue. Oh, I lost my man. Okay, let me go back again. But it's exciting that he gets to do that now.
Yeah, that's true.
And there's no consequences. And no, are you getting out on the bench? No this, no that. Right. And now I'm starting to see not only he's confident with it, he's believing he can do it. Yeah. And he's going.
Yeah, I think that you can see that. Like, I've tried a couple things and now they've worked, and like the confidence builds from that. And just to be able to experiment, like you said, with no consequences, like, if you're some of these guys, like, they're going to get benched if they try something crazy. With Sarr, it's like, we're actually just glad you were aggressive. Like, that's good enough.
Sarr doesn't realize he's probably one in the best position in the NBA. Reason being, he gets to grow.
Yep.
He gets to grow in real time, nonstop, right? Which will eventually make him a great player. That he get, because a lot of players don't get a chance to grow, and if they do, they're still pigeonholed in some position,
right?
Some type of way. He gets to shoot threes. He gets to drive. He gets to pump fake. He gets to do a lot of things.
Yeah, it's workshopping in real time.
And when we saw him at the beginning of the year, we were like, well, he needs to do this, but we don't know if he had the skills, if he can.
Exactly.
And he may not have had it at the beginning of the year.
Sure. That's a good point, too.
So not only he gets to grow, he gets to develop those skills. Not only he gets to develop those skills, he gets to translate them and put them in the game in real time. And now you're seeing the kid just constantly growing before our very eyes.
We've talked about this before, where guys will like add to their game in the off season or even during the season, but they won't even really try it until they've had an off season to perfect it. And they might not break out a new move until the next season.
They risk it though.
Yeah. Sarr can do it. Like
there's no risk.
Yeah, exactly. For him, it's just like, all right, cool. You taught me how to do this. I might as well pull it off. And it's not like the most complex stuff, but he was not a role man, early in the year. Now we've seen it a few times. So I think that's.
But now he's like it's pulled in the shot.
Yep.
1-2.
And I see. I think the thing about Sarr, and I'll give him credit for it, like there was that reporting that he did not want to go to Atlanta. Like he wanted to come to Washington. And I think, obviously Atlanta would have made minutes for a guy like him if they took him, first overall for them. But for him, like, there's so much more opportunity to kind of like just try stuff out and like experiment, like we were saying, where, if he were in Atlanta right now, he's not doing that shit next to Trae Young like this point in the season.
And for a rookie, you lucky.
Yeah.
You're lucky to be able to be in the exact situation Sarr is in, because it just don't happen usually. It's just not something that gets to happen. And if so, even if you are in a position, you can't do everything. Like, you can't say, hey, young fella, here's the ball. Figure this entire game out. Oh, hold on. All right, stop. Not only here's the ball, figure this game out. Go in the fire, attack the game.
Yep.
Keep on, push. I mean, you just pretty much building a pressure build diamonds. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. Yep. Yeah, you could, and you each year, hopefully, as you get a little better, you slowly scale up the consequences of trying those things out and the stakes behind it. There was like a mild little meltdown by a certain segment of like the Wizards fan base after Duke lost in the championship game, the way they did, because a couple weeks ago, somebody asked Cooper Flagg if there was any world where he'd go back to college, and he's like, "I love college, you know, I don't want to leave Duke," and people took that to mean, "Oh my God, he's going to go back to school next year to, you know, avoid getting drafted by the Wizards or Charlotte or whoever." And I think people were reading too much into that. And we've heard guys even say like, "Oh, I'm coming back next year right after the tournament." And then a week later, they're like, "Actually, no, I have to
No
go
guy
back."
ever comes back.
Nobody that could be the first pick ever comes
Nobody
back.
gets perfect ever comes back.
Yeah, that just, there's no world where that will happen. And that's what I keep telling people. It is like a 0% chance. And if you're John Shire at Duke, you don't want that. The way you keep getting recruits and you build a program is you get guys drafted first overall. If he comes back and gets hurt or whatever, you know, other recruits are like, "Whoa, like that's a thing." So they're not going to risk that.
They blame Duke for that.
Exactly. So he'll go. They'll want him to go. They'll wish him well. Obviously, they'd love to have had a player, you know, like it, but it's not going to happen. But if I'm Cooper Flagg, I'm watching this and I'm like, hey, like these young guys are getting better in Washington. They're getting minutes. There's also some pieces here. Like there's some guys I could fit around with, like, you know, and they're all unselfish guys too. So for him, like it's easy for us to say because we're biased, I guess, but like it really is the perfect situation, I think, because, you know, for him, like he's still working through some of those things, how to close late game situations and when to be more aggressive and how to play make. And he could do that here. He's not going to go do that if he gets drafted to Philly or wherever the case may be.
I feel like, first of all, as soon as Cooper Flagg said that, I knew the coaching staff and everybody else called him in the office the next day and say,
"Not happening.
Stop saying stupid shit."
Right. Exactly.
Like, stop now saying stupid shit. Don't ever say those shit like that.
Nice that you like us enough to even say it.
Great, we have people.
Yeah.
You're out of here. You don't. We're not letting you come back. First,
exactly.
They're not fair. Secondly, if Cooper Flagg does come to Washington, he has, forget his skills, because I think his skills are pretty good. I don't think his skills are great.
Got some work to do. Yeah,
you got some work to do. The thing that makes Cooper Flagg great to me is he has a Giannis style motor.
I think so too. Yeah.
Right. And if your best player comes here with a Giannis style motor, that's also a major culture builder. If the organization understands that and builds around that specific thing.
Yep. I agree.
Right. Hey, motor. Right. So now you got Bub with that type of mentality kind of already. But Lau even gets to push that mentality even more. Yeah. Right. Now you got a Flagg and a SAR. Right. So then you got to get Pooh to buy into that sure. Also, you have to. But it's not too bad. Because right now it's a new organization. It's a new organization. The office, the front office, all new. We don't know what the culture is yet. We know what they're saying and what they're trying to build. Right. But they're not on the floor. So now you have to get players to me that fits the culture you're trying to build more than the style of their game. Right. With Cooper Flagg, you get both.
It's true. And he can fit next to anybody. So whoever else you draft around him, you know, like you're not, that's the thing I've liked about all the guys they've drafted. You're not locked into one style of play now. Like you have flexibility.
But he's probably not going to always be your best talent.
Sure.
He's always going to be your hardest worker.
Yeah, I'll take that every day.
And I take that every day because now it's your hardest worker who's also the guy that, like the go-to guy.
Right.
So now we have to whatever Cooper doing. He came in 2 hours early. The whole team got to come in 2 hours.
It sets the tone. Yeah,
You stay 2 hours late. Oh, he's coming in the morning. He's lifting. Is this whatever the Cooper flag routine becomes? It becomes the entire team's routine. Yep. Now it's mandatory, right? So now that's now the culture. When MJ came, it was Breakfast Club. Everybody had to get up. Yep. No, it wasn't mandatory, but it was. Hey,
you better be there. Yeah.
Club in the morning. We're going to lift at this time. You know, bus gonna be here at this time.
Right.
All right. Well, everybody better go lift. You know, let's get some shots up. So I feel like Cooper Flag can really, really bring a culture to Washington.
There's been so much talk about like who his comp is, and you had like a Jeff Goodman that covers college basketball saying, "Oh, he's the next Larry Bird," and like stuff like that's kind of lazy to me. And I'm not saying they play the same way, but to me, it's sort of Jimmy Butler-esque. I think, like in the I'm gonna defend. I'm gonna be the best shooter, but I can score points. I will pass, you know, but I'm not deferential. I'll want a ball in a close moment, but I can lock some people up. Like, just does a little bit of everything. And I think that sort of game where it's like, because of the work ethic and the motor, it's a, you know, a rising tide lifts all ships kind of thing. Like he'll make the other guys just better than the sum of their parts. And they need that kind of guy to like, you know, unlock everybody else here, I think.
Yeah.
That stretch in the national championship game, like everyone will remember the last play, but a couple minutes before that where he hit the 3-pointer in the corner and then went down and blocked the guy into like the 10th row. That was like the craziest 40-second stretch of of the whole tournament. And it's like, that's the kind of dude you want to get. So Wizards fans, you can relax. He is not going back to Duke, and we can all get back to hoping we win the lottery here.
Really?
Hopefully. All right. Another thing, another quote from Beach on Todd, another good stat. He said that the trio of Bub Carrington, Alex Sarr, and Keyshawn George became the most 3-point makes by a rookie trio in NBA history. So Bub hit one to give them 369 overall in the season at that point in time, and they've hit a couple since then. And the Hawks had a trio of rookies in 2018 and 2019 that hit 368. But they had 7 guys, so that was their rookie core got to they needed 7 rookies for the Hawks to get to 368. For the Wizards, it was 3 guys got them there, which is just pretty incredible. That now, granted, there aren't a ton of teams that play this many rookies, this many heavy minutes for the duration of a season, like we have for Bub, Sarr, and Keyshawn. But that's still really cool. Like, I mean, they've been productive, and they're not always the most efficient, but they're making it work. And I'll take any cool stats that they can throw out for them.
Yeah, I'm cool with that stat too.
Yeah.
In the end of the day, you got to be effective.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like
percentage got to go up a little bit.
Yeah. Like I'm cool with it. I like that. I like that we're so young. I like that we have a young team. I like that we're not scared to shoot. You know. But like, I like that Sarr can shoot threes with his size. You know. Yep. But whatever it takes to get wins next year.
Exactly.
If we have to sacrifice some of those threes to get some W's, I'm absolutely fine with that.
I would love to hear a stat that's they had the most dunks too, just like or drives to the basket or just something else to go with that would be nice. We talked about culture setters and we mentioned Marcus Smart here earlier. There was also a little spat the other night with one of the fans. A guy was heckling Jordan Poole, had some words for him. And Smart came in and was like, nah, bro, like we're not doing this. And they had some words back and forth, and eventually security threw the guy out. But you just need to be you need somebody to set the tone and draw the line for what they're willing to accept from other teams, from other fans, whatever the case may be. And Marcus Smart is a guy that'll do that. He won't be here forever. So like we talked about, whether it's Bub or somebody, you need the guy on this young core that's also going to be the guy, the draw the line in the sand guy. And I think every good team has that kind of dude. So hopefully that's something that they're taking in that like, I'll have Poole's back or somebody's got to be like the enforcer longer term here.
If it wasn't Marcus Smart, if he wasn't here, what other player we have on the team that would have done that? for Poole.
I don't, Bub's probably the next best guess, and I don't think he would have done, rookie Bub was probably not going to go and rush to Jordan Poole's aid and yell at a fan for him.
See, that's the thing. You have to see someone not taking up just for everybody, but taking up for Poole.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes you can see Poole as, okay, the guy who gets all the shots, the team leader, right? But who's going to protect the protector, for lack of a better word, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they probably never seen anybody take up for Poole. They seen Poole been shitted on a lot, right? But in the end of the day, that's my teammate.
Yep.
And so the fact that you seeing somebody take up for Poole, that's different. And that right there just really sets a tone. And I don't think there hasn't been anybody on the team in for a while that we even do that type of thing.
No.
And that's something you really have to recognize. Just as simple as that was very big.
Mm-hmm.
Now you need that around. To me, you need that around so much, you'll just have them on the bench next year.
I definitely would just for that. Yeah.
Right, just for that. But they don't look out for vets like they used to. But in this situation, if you get a Cooper flag and you now have a guy like,
that's extra huge. Yeah.
It'd be extra huge. So that as small as it was or whatever it was, that little speck, it was way bigger than that. And believe you me, to every player on that bench,
they took note.
That's a major note.
Mm-hmm.
That's a major note. And no coach could have done it.
Exactly. That's the biggest thing. You needed a guy on the floor to be the guy to do that. And if they do have a Cooper flag next year, he's going to get everybody's best shot. He's going to take a lot of shit. People are going to go at him the whole time. And you need somebody to have his back. Ideally, I'd like there to be one of the big guys that's willing to do that too. We need
an on-court big enforcer.
Yeah, as crazy as he is, and maybe he takes a little too far sometimes, and Isaiah Stewart, his kind of craziness has helped Detroit this year. Like, if somebody messes with Cade, he's going to go out and clothesline him, 2 plays later.
You need that. Every team needs an enforcer.
I think so.
Just as important it was back then, it's important now.
Yep.
Why you think that Draymond's been able to stay on one team for so long?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why do you think?
Yep.
Right. Why do you think that you have every team, like the big teams back in the day, always had an Oakley or a Mason or those guys? That really, if you take Draymond off of Golden State before Jimmy got there,
right? Nobody else was doing that.
You just see a lot of marshmallow.
Yeah, right.
I hate to say it, it just instantly turns soft.
Mm-hmm.
But with one person, the entire mindset of that team changes. The entire look of it, the optics of the team.
If you had replaced Draymond with someone with the identical skill set but not the same temperament, they're not nearly as successful. And sometimes he does take it too far, but they win way more games because of it than they lose. Yeah, exactly.
Every guy that's the more enforcer going to take. They have to.
Yeah.
I mean, because the thing is, it's not a fake mentality.
No, yeah, it's just that's how they're wired. Yeah.
Right. That's how they wired. You got to take it with the take. You got to take both, the good with the bad.
Exactly.
But at the end of the day, a player who understands he has an enforcer close is going to. His ball's gonna get bigger somehow.
Exactly, yeah. You get a little more swag to you if you're like somebody's got your back. All right, let's get to it.
We'd love to get Isaiah Stewart with a coupe.
Like that kind of dude. You need someone.
Or what's the annoying guy with Houston?
Dylan Brooks, somebody.
Brooks,
yeah. You need a junkyard dog, that kind of guy to do the dirty work, have some attitude, bully people around for you a little bit, and just. Or remember James Johnson? If he's the guy that's got all the black belts and shit like that. Exactly. You're not messing with Luka.
Yeah, everybody. There's so many stories about James Johnson. It's crazy.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
When
just knowing that, you like a lot of players like, well, I know the story. That's good enough for me.
Right. Yep. I'm not gonna try him because. All right, let's move into buy, hold, sell. So this is just their stock for the Wizards as they're trying to make some offseason plans here. What you'd do with the guy. So we're going to go through 12 guys. A buy is, yes, he should be here. I'm investing in him for the future. A hold is, I'm not in a hurry to get rid of him, but we'll see if he's a part of the long-term future or not. And then a sell is, I'm good on this guy right now. Like I've seen all I need to see. I'm kind of good here. So
what's the criteria? Okay, go ahead. Just go. Let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, just it's your
my
own
criteria may be different than yours.
Exactly, and we can kind of go through that. But let's do 4 of each of those categories. So you get 4 guys on this 12-person list that are buys, 4 holds, and 4 sells. So let's start off with Bub Carrington. I think we're probably going to be on the same page here that Bub is a buy for all the things we just talked about. Like I'm buying in him, I'm investing in him long term, I think would be my way of looking at it.
Yeah, so Bub is a buy to me too. But in the way I look at the buy guys is, can they not only be impactful for our team?
Yeah.
If I put them on one of the top teams, can they grow and make an impact in this league on any team? So, because I know, okay, if they can make an impact on the best teams or any team, then they're good for us because we got to grow.
Sure. Yeah, they'll fit in when we're good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like Bub can actually make an impact long term on any team and actually impact winning in some way on any team. Maybe not a major role, but right now, but definitely someone that's needed.
Yep, I'm with you. Next one, Jordan Poole. I would say for me, he's a hold. I'm sorry. I know Poole fans looking at this are going to be mad at me, but it's the contract. It's by the time the Wizards are ready to be good again, he's going to want to raise. Like, if you can trade him for some value between now and then, I'd at least just weigh my options. I'm not selling him, but I'm not saying he's definitely a long-term part of the future here, just given the timeline. So for me, Poole is a hold. Where would you have Jordan Poole?
I think Poole is a buy, but like you said, the contract does kind of force him more in the hold position. But if I'm looking at the next 2 to 3 years, we're going to need solid scoring.
Yeah,
somebody who can just score the ball. Until there's someone else that could come in that type of capacity, which is not a lot.
Yep. I
would rather scale him back and teach him how to be more of a scorer, because you're gonna need somebody to score. And I look at him as say for instance we get Cooper Flag, where now you have somebody you can dish out and they can shoot the ball, good shots. So, once you start being more in the team scheme, and he can fit in the team scheme of things, I think he's a buy.
It's to me sometimes, and not everybody's this way, but that does seem like a hard genie to put back in the bottle sometimes when you've given guy like the ultimate green light to be a scorer. So that's another thing. Like that's why it's a hold for me. Like
it is almost impossible. You're right about that. That's a good point.
If you can do that, then that's great, and he can fit in longer term. But you got to.
No player's gonna let you do that.
Yeah,
that goes somewhere else before that.
It's tough to be the number one guy and then be willing to take the backseat unless you're getting older. Like then guys are slowly willing to.
Well, I think the main thing that kind of hurts it is the contract.
Yeah.
Right? The contract hurts it. Yep. So I don't think it'd be as hard genie to put back in the bottle if we're winning.
Yeah, I agree too.
And he's becomes more like I don't want to say a Jaylen Brown, because he's not, but where he's a primary scorer, but he's not just an everywhere guy.
Right. It could be Robin some of the time,
Right. But it actually end up getting him paid more because of the impact he's making. Yep. So if he can get in that situation, I think he'd be okay. I'll still put him in the buy.
I like that. Yeah, I think if you can figure all that out with him, then no worries. Keyshawn George, this one for me, also a buy. Just the stocks, he's all over the place. He's getting hands on balls and deflections. I think you can never have enough 3-and-D wings, so I think he will ultimately shoot it. And if he can do more for you and play make and things like that, then the value even goes up from there. Where would you put?
I think he's still a hold for me right now.
Okay.
I have seen. I felt like he wasn't comfortable out there at first.
Yeah, for sure.
And now I'm starting to see him be more less erratic, start moving, just taking his time with things, understanding space, time, patience, attack. I understand, but I haven't seen enough from him yet to feel like he can grow to be an impact player.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I see him as a guy who could possibly one day be a Moses Moody type.
I like that. Yeah.
You know, it possibly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but right now that's just kind of where my mind see him starting up. Hopefully not stopping, but that's where I see him right now.
I got you. Yeah, and if we had seen this sample size of the stuff he's doing now for longer parts of the year, I think that's probably an easier sell to, or easier case to make for him too. I think Alex Sarr is next. He's got to be a buy at this point. I mean, there's just anybody watching Wizards games right now. I think the large part of what they're doing it for is to see what Sarr can do, and I think we've seen enough there to be pretty convinced he's going to be here, at least for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Sarr is a buy for me because his growth, his size, and he's starting to really embrace what he has to be, what type of player he has to be in the NBA.
Yep.
And where now I can see him being impactful on multiple teams.
Oh, yeah. Everybody could use that mobile big.
Yeah. And so that's a really good buy for me because that's like, oh, man, like that's pretty much of a great deal.
Mm-hmm. The next one is Corey Kispert, and this is where I looked at it a little differently from you, because for me, I think Corey can fit in on almost everybody could use a shooting specialist, and he's on a reasonable contract. But for the Wizards are at, I don't need more Corey Kispert. Like, I think you can replace his skill set with one of the younger guys, and if you can get some value for him, because I think he is a valuable player, that you should do that. And, you need some shooting to enable all these guys and things like that. He's had, he's averaging like probably 10 points a game, 11 points a game over the last, handful of games here and basically for the season. But that's just, I don't know, he's somewhere between a sell and a hold for me. Like, I could kind of take it or leave it, but just to balancing the numbers here, I went sell for Corey Kispert. Where are you with Kispert?
I think he's somewhere between a sell and a hold. So I'm going to just say he sold.
Okay. Like
but no, I just feel like he's at his plateau now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll get a better Corey Kispert.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be younger players that's going to be more versatile.
Mm-hmm.
That these guys now coming out. I mean, look at Houston. You got a lot of different scrappy. You can do a lot of different things, which that's the way the game is going.
Mm-hmm.
I would sell.
Yeah, kind of limited, right? Like he just doesn't have that versatility you want with the other guys.
It's not. Yeah, you don't have the versatility you need to now compete with these other guys.
Mm-hmm. But again, I wouldn't be in a rush to do it. He doesn't hurt anybody. Good teammate. All those kinds of things. His style play doesn't limit anybody. I don't think so. No rush. Bilal Coulibaly. This was my last buy that I went with. I'm still all in on Bilal. I think the defense, the athleticism, you assume he'll figure enough out offensively to be a really valuable piece for you here long term.
Bilal is definitely a buy for me too.
Cool.
I think with him, it's a big buy, but he just has to embrace it. I think he just got to get the effort. He just got to say F it. And if it's slowly, I'm seeing, drips of it. And then you see more and more.
Mm-hmm.
With him, it just depends on how long it's going to take him to just decide to say F it. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, it's true.
Because if he does, it's a great buy. If not, you don't.
It's worth the risk,
Yeah, he's definitely worth the risk, but it's so much hope with him. You don't want to just have a, perpetual hope.
That's true. Yeah, it can't be a tease for forever. At some point, you got to show some return on investment there. And before he got hurt and stopped playing, we were seeing a few more pockets of that aggressiveness and things. So I'm hopeful. This one was kind of tough for me just to make the numbers worth. So I was out of buys at this point, which I think you are now also out of buys. Justin Champagnie. I have a hold on him. Good dude. plays hard, cheap contract. Like, to me, that's worth keeping around.
Yeah. So my holds are different than your holds.
Yeah, I think so.
To me, if I can hold you, I can sell you.
Yeah, that's good. That's
with this team,
sure.
If you're in a hold situation, you're in the sale situation. Let's be real.
No, I think that's very fair.
Like, in the end of the day, if we're trying to keep forward, we got to replace everybody with better.
Yeah.
Not saying these guys aren't bad, but
solid. Yeah.
So Champagnie, I think he's effective.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, he don't get a lot. They're not playing him a lot.
I know. It's weird to me.
And when he does play, he go get 12, 13, 20, and then he don't play. So
I know there's something going on there.
So the writing's on the wall. It tells me he's a sale.
I think so. That's a good point.
Right. So I don't even have to put him in a category. The
team put him there already. Yeah. Honestly, I think what you just said is so perfect, because for a team rebuilding like this, if you are not a long-term buy, good luck to you. Like, you're all expendable if you're not a guaranteed part of the future here.
The game should be buy and buy.
Yeah. Right.
B-U-Y or B-Y-E.
I love that. I tell you what, next time we do this, it will be buy and buy. That's really awesome. All right, next one here, Tristan Vukcevic. We've seen a little more down the stretch here than we were seeing when he first came off the injury reserve. But I'm always the guy that preaches patience on the young guys. Like, before year 3, I don't even want to hear what a guy's ceiling is. But I think I've seen enough to say that it's a sell for me. Like, that it's what we said about Kispert. He's going to be too one-dimensional. He's a tall dude who shoots. He doesn't guard. Some of the playmaking's there sometimes, but I don't think it'll be a big enough factor in his game that, like, that's a guy I need to invest in.
He's tough for me too. I see him as a whole. Reason I do is because he could be a good project to me.
Yeah.
He has a lot of things that reminds me of Porzingis.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's got a lot of skill. I mean, for a big dude.
Right. And if you can get a middle class Porzingis out of him, I think it's worth it.
That's a good point. And that was the two I wrestled with the most. I just, when he's bad, he looks so bad. It's just sort of like, it jars my whole perception of him. I think, like, I'm saying this after,
he hasn't been built yet.
That's true. Yeah.
Right. And if somebody puts the time in, and I just feel like you can get a Porzingis out of it.
I like that. I mean, we're saying this after probably his best game of the season too, against Philly last night. He was 7 of 13 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3, had 6 rebounds, no assists in that game, which he's had a few throughout the year, but 24 points and just looked solid. But he also just gives up a lot on the defensive end. Is he ever going to guard anybody? He
play like he don't like basketball.
He's just big and he's got some skill. So,
but if he ever liked basketball and hone it in, he has something that you can't teach.
Yeah,
I hate to say it. I just see something in the kid that's more than. And I think people see it too, but it's the optics. But I'm saying, man, guy his size can shoot. Yeah. He has a lot of moves.
There is value to that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's soft.
I think so too.
He's soft and he gives up really fast. So let's take away the soft. Let's build him up, not be so soft. Let's build him to be more relentless, and build him to be more in a attack mindset. Trust his moves, aggressive mindset. Think you can get a middle class Porzingis.
I like that. Yeah, I think what you said about because you hear that about big guys sometimes, right? Like, I play this game because I'm big and I'm kind of good at it, and
that's how he plays.
Yeah, there might be some truth to that too, because you just saw, like, they said it was a knee contusion for months of the season, but really there was definitely a conditioning issue. It's like, this dude is probably not living in the gym.
Yeah.
In the offseason. Like, he's got to work a certain amount to have that kind of skill level, but it might just come kind of easy to him to this point, and
some people just okay to make it to the NBA.
Yeah,
some people want to be good in the game.
Right. Yep.
Like if you can, it's too much money out here to take the time with a player like that. But
sure. Yeah, that's
I see something where he could be that X factor. Because when you got Porzingis, what you got to do? You got to bring the big out.
Yep.
Right now, it opens it up for Jason Tatum. If he can be one of those guys that that can bring out, still have size, and he will if he can rebound like his size says he should. He can really be an effective player for us, especially how like now a lot of these universal players are coming from overseas.
That's a good point. Yeah, and the fact that they got him on a two-way, it may also say what they think about him, but also it's like a no-risk project for them to take on too.
Right,
so
but it's a project I feel like is worthy of taking on.
Yep, I agree. Next one here, I have a hold for Marcus Smart. He's not going to be here long-term, probably. He's probably going to want to have one more run on a really good team somewhere, but he's not a dude I would be in any hurry to make a move on, just for all the reasons we talked about earlier, for what he does for you off the court too.
He offers much more than just physical presence, right? And then when he's out there, he still offers a lot of that fight that you understand that kind of translate to how he thinks, right? So I think he's needed long term. I'm definitely hold because he's needed long term.
Yep.
You put him. You got to put him in some type of position. Players, coach, or something. Eventually, if that's I'm not saying he wants to. If he don't want to play anymore or whatever, but we all know what happens after this point. Sometimes, hopefully it's a different story. But if not, he's a guy that would be a good voice for these players.
When his career is ending, that's the kind of dude I would be interested in putting on a bench and just being like, teach.
I wouldn't even make him a cut. Like, look, man, get on the bench for another year. I know they don't do it a lot anymore, but if you had those right, if you know that he has, like, if they hang on his word and they trust his word, you gotta do something about it.
I also kind of forgot he's only 31, so he's got a decent amount of career left. I don't know how much is that, given the way he kind of plays, and he's been hurt the last couple of years. But yeah, maybe if he only wants to play like 2 more years, this is not the worst place in the world for him to.
Yeah, you just can tell injuries kind of
slowing him down a bit. Yeah, for sure. The next one here is AJ Johnson. I'm not probably quite as high on him as the overall Wizards fan base here. So he was not one of my 4 holds. But if I had a 5th hold, he would have been a hold. I mean, just, I had to kind of make some tough choices here. So Johnson for me was just a hold because I'm not quite as sold on him as I am the other 4 young guys, let's say. 3 rookies plus Koulibaly.
He's a sell for me.
Sell. Okay. Interesting.
If I'm choosing, reason being is, I don't know if he found, he was with Milwaukee first. I think it was Milwaukee.
Yep.
Really couldn't find his way there. Here, he does make some cool impact plays. I like
oohs and ah plays.
He does, but how much can he impact the NBA?
Yeah. Right. There's a ceiling unless the skills really fill out, right? I mean,
right. Yeah. So to me, I don't know how much he really can impact the NBA. I'm looking at his body type. I'm looking at his style of game. Look at like a lot of things he do wild. I know he's young. I just don't see him in any capacity on a team other than I feel like he's lucky because in this situation he gets to play.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. But if it wasn't this situation, would a coach say, AJ Johnson, go out there on the floor?
No, probably.
They wouldn't. I don't think he would be a player that they would even consider AJ Johnson go out there on the floor. So he's only on the floor because of the specific situation he's in now. And is he scoring? Yeah, because who else is going to score? I'm not saying it. Just he has the option to score something. But as a whole, I just feel like you can get more impactful players. Definitely not a bad guy.
No.
So I just had to put him on the sell category.
He's coming off a game where he went 1 of 11 from the field, 1 of 7 from 3. He had 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and he racked up 5 fouls. Like it's just there's a long way to go there, and I think there are enough things that have to come together. Like the highs are high and the lows are low, and the comp for me is somebody like a Hamidou Diallo, where like crazy athletic, but you're really like a 6'4" wing, and you don't really shoot it, but you don't really pass it well enough. Like
and you're light as a feather.
Yeah. So that's the thing. You got to really fill out. We've probably just broken Wizards Twitter at this point with that, because he has been the darling of the last month, because dunks and YouTube, like YouTube highlight reels are cool. But I'm with you. Like to me, they can afford this kind of project. So if I could have probably given a buy, I might have done it. But yeah, that's why I had a hold ultimately too. It's just there's enough reservations there and there are guys like that, like crazy athletes that don't really know how to play yet.
I just feel like if we're really going to wipe the slate clean and rebuild, you have to have some. If we're going to rebuild, we have to start with the players who can really fit in this game.
Sure.
Right. Otherwise, then we just being sympathetic because the guys scored 10 points every now and then.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no.
But if we're really in the rebuild process and we want this team to really be good, give me Sar, give me Bilal, Bub, and Poole in some sort of capacity maybe. But give me Sar, Bilal, and Bub.
Yeah. The thing with Johnson for me, it's like, I think the appeal for me is that they could use that sort of athleticism somewhere on the perimeter. That's like, Bub is not the best athlete. Poole is not the best athlete. Taking a shot on a guy that is like
but they're players.
I agree. That's why he's the ultimate project. Like, he's the project of all projects. And that was my original reservation with him coming out of the draft, was he's probably not a guy that's a productive NBA player or a winning player on a team in his first contract. So
I look at it like this: guaranteed roles. I know Bilal, I'm getting something guaranteed out of him.
He's your lockdown defender, transition guy.
If I'm a coach, I need that. I can use that because that fits at a position, a role in the NBA on any team, guaranteed. Sar, attack, 3, height, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
I need that, right? But you could tell he's going to grow into a solid point. Even if it's a backup, he'd make the best backup point.
Yeah, I think so.
Any coach, because he's coach's point, but even more. I need that, right? That's a floor general.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Poole right now, in the end of the day, what Bill Russell saying, when it's all said and done, it's about buckets.
Yep.
Guaranteed buckets with Poole.
Sure.
Everybody else,
I'm higher on George than that. Like for me, he's that kind of guy.
Higher on George, and I like his size, I like his body, I like his style.
That's fine. You need that kind of guy.
I don't see like
ceiling.
These guys giving me something guaranteed in their role.
Sure.
I don't know what he's giving me. I can depend on every night, no matter what. I'm getting that. I don't know what that is for him yet.
I got you. Yeah. There are some nights where he looks rough too. Like, I think the defense has been better than I expected, but he's still a rookie, and the jury's still a little bit out there too. Next one is Chris Middleton. It's a sell for me. I just, I don't think that one's too controversial. I'm assuming you are also a sell there.
Yeah. Hate to see it, but, so things come to,
Exactly.
The game, sometimes injuries just get the best of you and you can't bounce back from it.
Yep.
And I think he knows that too,
Yeah, and that's okay.
The writing's on the wall.
The last one here is Colby Jones, who I was super high on coming out of the draft. I really like Colby. I just ran out of stuff here, so he is a sell for me, unfortunately. Although I'm looking at this and I'm like, maybe I could flip flop him and Champagny and make Colby a hold. But he hasn't done a ton yet for them. So I think that's, you wouldn't give much more than a hold, I don't think.
No, you got to sell. It's a sell. Yeah. Of Champagny, which means Champagny would be a hold.
Right.
But like I said, the team tells me he's a sell.
Yeah.
And if the team tells me he's a sell, they definitely tell me Kobe Jones is a sell. Sometimes the team is deciding some of this stuff for us.
Mm-hmm. It's true. Yeah, Jones the other night against Philly played 32 minutes, which was cool. He was 5-11 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, 13 points. Was pretty good. Coming off a night before that against Indy where he just was not good at all, and he played a lot of minutes and didn't really do a whole lot. So
we have a young team.
Yeah,
we have a young team anyway, even with the starters.
For sure.
So when you get the starters not playing, somebody's going to have to put the ball in the basket.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So these guys are getting a chance to put the ball in the basket. They're in the NBA, so they are good players.
Yep.
Let's not take it like none of these guys can't play ball.
They're not bums for sure.
They're not bums whatsoever.
Yep.
But would they have this chance otherwise on any other team?
Not likely. Not all of them. Maybe one of them somewhere.
Exactly. And so if you say, okay, which guys will, then those are guys really that.
Those are the buys. Yeah.
Those are the buys.
Yep. I think that's.
Or your holds.
Right. Yeah. At least a hold. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for entertaining me there. I thought that was a good way to kind of go through and talk about these guys in a different context rather than just like who had a good box score night the last couple weeks here. So. Last one I got for you real quick. I thought this was interesting. They asked Denny Avdia about NBA expansion to Europe, which is apparently more and more of a topic that the league is looking to have like a European equivalent of the G League or something like that, like an overseas league that feeds into the NBA potentially. So Denny said, I don't really go into the idea or what's going to happen. I'm just happy that the game is expanding. I just hope it doesn't ruin anything in Europe. There are some authentic things in Europe that you don't want to take away. And I just hope it brings more fans, but the competition remains the same. And he talked about just how lively some of those EuroLeague environments are. To me, I have no interest in this. Like the way there was NFL Europe for a while, like there are good basketball leagues in Europe. I do not need to see NBA Europe. That's just not, I'm good. I'm good.
I mean, only way for me you can do it is buy the best Europe leagues.
Yeah, just take something already existing.
And then after you buy it, leave it as it is.
Right, exactly. Give them some extra infrastructure and the NBA branding, and
you put the brand on it and get the hell out of there.
No, I'm okay with. Yeah.
Reason being is they're bringing a great players and exciting game to the league now. To the point the league is patterning their game. We're becoming more of a European style playing system than we were an American style playing system.
Yeah, it's true.
Right. And it's naturally happening. So, which means now the players, the young players now they're trying to even get the young players and the EYBLs and all to start making it even more European style.
Yep.
Right. So they see that it works. Hey, you can own it, but don't mess with it.
Yeah. I think that's what Denny was going for. Like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And,
don't play with it. Because, I mean, if you saw how Serbia played this year in the Olympics. You saw France. That was some impressive stuff that you didn't get to see in the entire time in the NBA. You saw players playing a completely different style and way, and almost it gives you pride to watch that for like just the essence of basketball, but also it kind of gave you some nostalgia, a lot of nostalgia type of, I saw this. I may have saw this era's Larry Bird.
Right.
He don't play in the NBA, but I think I kind of got that feel.
Yeah.
So it's impressive, and I wouldn't mess with it, man. And they like he said, the way they do it, they do a good job over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've done enough podcasts with guys that played in Europe, and they talk about, like James Gist that played at Maryland told a story about literally someone shooting one of his teammates with a flare during a playoff game. Like, they're crazy over there too. And honestly, I think the one cool thing about this would be it'd make it more accessible to see European basketball for American fans. That would be neat. But keep their product the way it is. Just make it marketable.
Make it marketable
over here. And
let us see the games too.
Right.
If that's the case, let us watch that too.
Yeah, put that on NBA on League Pass.
That on NBA TV.
Right. Yeah, I'd rather watch that than
Yeah.
I was gonna say the G League, to be fair.
Okay.
Yeah, G League games, they don't tell you that much. Like, if I know a guy can go play in the Euro League at a high level, that tells me that he can come probably fit in my team and at least get how to play.
Right.
Some of these G League guys, they're never going to do the things on an NBA team they get to do on a G League team.
Right.
And what does that teach you? So there's something to that. All right, partner. It was good to get back together.
Two-way.
Yeah.
The two-way should be back and forth to Europe.
Yeah, I like that.
You want to do it that way.
Flight, but
yeah.
Something to think about. All right, I was going to say David Stern. Geez, Adam Silver, if you were listening, we're available to consult here.
Yeah, we need an E-League.
That's probably what they would call it. Honestly, you should get credit for that if that's what they go with. Jahadi, it's good to do this again. We'll do one of these as soon as the season ends here. Like we said, 2 games left. The Wizards should likely have one of the worst 2 leagues. So we'll talk through odds and all those kinds of things in our next episode. But obviously, with the season wrapping up, if there are things people want to hear about, just let us know, and we'll make sure we talk about them.
Okay.
Cool. All right, partner. I will talk to you soon. Good stuff.
All right, my man.
All right, everybody. You know the drill. If you were watching on YouTube, please click that like button for us. Rate, review, subscribe. It is always appreciated. We have not had an iTunes review in a while. I'm just saying, if you are so inclined to do that, we always appreciate those. And we will catch y'all next time.